Hi, my name is Andy Laredo, and I'm a software consultant for BMC. I want to welcome you to another quick course, and this time we're going to review MainView for DB2 and how many ways can I do and explain. You can imagine a product like MainView for DB2 has many different ways for getting at SQL statements, and therefore there's many different ways to get to our explain facility. You might be looking at active threads, you might be looking at trace information, you might be looking at dynamic statement cache information, etc., etc. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to outline some of these places that you can hyperlink. This table outlines some of the ways that you can get to the common explain. So for instance, from thread active on the current activity column or the currently executing SQL, you can get over to common explain. From duser, detailed user, you can get over to common explain. From thread detail, thread active, you can get over there. And then also detailed traces from either something like the static SQL open event or the dynamic SQL prepare event will also hyperlink you over, although you're going to have to do a little bit of work cutting and pasting in those two cases. And then dynamic statement cache summary will also hyperlink over to common explain for explain statements that you find in the cache. This is the thread active view. I have the headers expanded so that you see all the possible hyperlinks. And one thing is we're being told to go right, so we would hit PF11. And we're trying to get to the current activity field, as that's the hyperlink to the selector's explain facility. And you see in that box up there, current activity, DC explain. So if you hyperlink off this close activity, we'll go and explain the statement that was running for this particular thread. And here we've landed in the common explain, and as I point out here, we won't get into the details of navigating this because there's a lot of power behind this explain facility. As you see, many different action codes across the top. But some of the things you would do if we're going to take the time is you look into the rules that fired based on the statement analysis, so that's the actions beginning with R. Might do a what if, that's the W, where you can change a SQL statement and see if that can affect the cost and access paths being used. And also we can clone and create new objects, test out new indexes, let's say, and test out if we can improve the access path that way. This was a navigation from active threads. Now we're going to navigate from thread active and go down to thread detail, and we'll do that by hyperlinking off of the user stat column. And here we are in thread active, thread detail view. And we see that there's current activity here. So we can take this same hyperlink. It's white, and at least the way I have my emulator set up, a white field is something I can hyperlink off of. So I can hyperlink from this current activity also off to the common explain. And then I would arrive here and I'd be able to navigate within the explain product. Another way is from our MainView Explorer interface. So here I'm looking at active thread, exactly the same information as I was looking at online in 3270 interface. But here I'm looking at active threads and I see current activity. This time there's a fetch in the column, this active thread. And I right-clicked on fetch, which brought up a selection list of options. And then I went down to the hyperlink actions and I saw that the explain facility is there. Hyperlink from fetch off to our explain facility. And this will, of course, be our explain facility within MainView Explorer. And I've gone into the explain facility. This isn't quite equal to the 3270 version, but it looks very similar. You have statement information on top and query block information on the bottom, and you can expand and contract it. And you can do what ifs. In this case, I did a what if on the statement and tweaked it a little, and got re-explained, and as you see, costing information up by quite a bit. So this was explained from the MainView Explorer, but really from the same place, thread active. So here I am in another view, the duser view, detailed user view, and I see that I can hyperlink explain from here. If I'm not seeing the statement exactly, I can hyperlink on the SQL statement link, and that will get me to the statement to see it, and then if I want to explain it, I would take the explain hyperlink. And upon doing that, I end up in the common explain. In this case, I expanded the top section. Always arrive here with it contracted, and then you expand different areas as needed. Now we're going to start looking at common explain from the detailed tracing screens in MainView for DB2. You're going to have to do a little bit of work because you're going to have to do some cutting and pasting. But let's say we're on summary trace entry looking at a detailed trace. So we're going to hyperlink on the keyword detail to get to the SQL statements. And then we'll hyperlink on the open to see the open statement. This is a static SQL that we're looking at here. And then we have the capability to do hyperlinks over to the explain. But this will not carry the collection and package information over to the explain facility, so we have to make sure that you cut and paste the names from right here, the collection and package information. And then when you get to the explain facility, you'll be able to navigate down through our normal common explain screens through plans, packages, ad hoc SQL. And in this case, you'll paste in the package collection and name ID. And then we'll navigate to the selections within that collection. And then we'll navigate to the statement that we wanted to explain. So the 1029, this matches the open statement back in the detailed trace. And then we end up in a common explain output. So this is an explain of a static statement that we saw going through the detailed trace facility. So when we find a dynamic statement in the detailed trace, we'll find a prepare entry, and then we'll find a SQL text following it. So we'll hyperlink on the prepare entry. Then we can hyperlink to the explain. However, we have to go to that SQL text event and grab the statement text from there so that we paste it into the explain facility. When we get to the explain facility, we'll choose option 5. And then we can paste in our dynamic SQL that we grabbed from the detailed trace. And then we will explain it, or we could execute it. That's something the Common Explain facility offers on dynamic SQL. And then we get into the explain results for the dynamic SQL that came over. We came from a static statement into the Common Explain, but then we navigated to the package statement information. And we came from a detailed trace dynamic SQL, carried the SQL over and pasted it in Common Explain. Here you'll notice these mini explains. There's a couple with prepare of 1801. Actually, the prepare of 1801 occurs over and over. And you can navigate into these mini explains. They're just output only. Here's a little explain, at least the query block information, whether we're going after indexes, merge join columns, table we're going after, table name we're going after, things such as that. So this is a mini explain that's in the detailed trace for dynamic SQL statements. Here's another mini explain for another statement. Here's the dynamic SQL cache menu, and we're going to go to a statement summary and find a statement that we're interested in and then navigate to Common Explain. There's many ways to navigate within dynamic SQL cache, but I'll take the statement summary. And then we'll navigate on the statements. And then when we see all the statements, dates, and time cache, we'll navigate off the time cache. And then we get to this statement detail. There's two highlighted hyperlinks. SQL text 1, which will hyperlink to show you the full SQL text, or you can hyperlink off the statement ID, and that's the one that will off to the Common Explain. So we'll hyperlink on the statement ID, and then we'll end up in the explain results as we have all the other times. Thank you for allowing me to give you this quick tour through MainView for DB2 and all the places in MainView for DB2 that you can hyperlink on a SQL statement and go and explain. Our Common Explain facility is very rich in function. Available in MainView for DB2. It's also available in other products such as AppTune, SQL Explorer. I am Andy Laredo, and thank you for allowing me to speak to you today on MainView for DB2.